So today, what I'd like to spend some time doing with you is really getting into the psychology behind real estate sales. And when we speak of the psychology behind real estate sales, we're also going to tap into relationships and the importance of success through relationships in this industry. Because you're going to hear me say it time and time again, relationships have always been important in this business. It's always been a real key point for success in real estate, but never, ever before has it been more important than it is right now. If you agree, type agree inside the chat box. I want to see if you agree with me. Relationships is more important now than it has ever been in the history of your real estate career, right? All right, we got some agrees in there. That's amazing. So I'm going to share my screen with you because one of the first things we're going to touch on, and just give me a second, let me share my screen with you. One of the things that we're immediately going to touch on when we discuss the psychology of sales, and this is a pretty long, intense class, so I'm jumping right into it because I know I'm very respectful of everybody's time, so I want to make sure that we get through this. But let's talk about the psychology behind a buyer and a seller's behavior, right? Now, let's think about this for a minute, and let me make sure I have my chat group open because I'm going to ask you guys to participate with me, okay? But when we discuss the psychology that goes behind the buyer and seller's behavior, what are we talking about really? We're talking about influencing decision-making through certain different pieces, right? Emotion is one. Okay, emotion is one. Now, another one, simply motivation. And we're going to go into each of these. We're going to talk about it together, okay? Another one is perception. And lastly, it's personality. And not lastly, but for this. Okay, now let's dig into each of these together, okay? When we talk about emotion, people oftentimes get emotional in different stages of the real estate process. Think of a seller who maybe is not super excited to leave the house they've lived in for 20 years, right? We've all been there before. You're sitting across somebody and the rookie agent, and if you're a rookie agent, I'm speaking to you, the rookie agent will sit there motivated by the fact that they're about to potentially get a listing and they're going to sell this thing and they're going to make some money because we know this is the real reason why we got into this business, right? And so when we talk about emotion, we need to create the importance of our minds and understanding the emotion behind the process of why this particular seller is selling this house. Motivation is a different thing, emotion, right? And so we dig into the why. And if you're not sitting with buyers and sellers and asking the what question why several times, then you have to revamp your presentation, your conversation, and you need to do a lot more of this right here. Okay. Now, I heard something the other day that was very, it was something that triggered the continuation of this class right here. And it was a 90-10 rule. And in the 90-10 rule, it said, you listen 90% of the time, you speak 10% of the time in any one of those sales presentations. Because listen, at the end of the day, we give them names, right? Buyer consultation, listing presentation. But what is it really? It is a sales presentation. You're a salesperson and you're presenting what you can do to sell a product. And emotionally, sometimes people are not ready, or they are ready, but they will get emotional in different sections. I'll just move this page up a little bit so we can talk about it. One of those sections is the actual sale of the house. Another time they might get emotional is during what? Negotiations, right? Dude, people get crazy during negotiations. Like type inside the chat box, me, if you've ever been in the position where people are yelling, screaming, and crying and everything during the negotiation process, right? And so, like, have you ever been there? Type the word me. I want to know. Have you been there? Yes. Enrico's like, yes, absolutely, I have, right? You know, Penny, I know you have. We've actually had those conversations in the past. It's beautiful, man, right? Terry, great. Me, appreciate you. During those negotiations, do you believe, and you can type yes or no inside of the chat box, do you believe that it is helpful for you to get emotional about it as well? Yes or no? No, no. This is business, right? The process of negotiation is business. This is your sales tactics coming up to the table. And so, very important is that you don't get emotional in this stage. And so many real estate agents do. So many real estate agents almost put themselves in the position of emotion that makes it seem like it's their house that they're selling. Now, listen, I get the whole thing of I'm going to treat you in this process as if it was my very own, right? That's a great pitch that many of us like to give to people, but it's not your house. You need to do numbers, know the facts, and present them. And that'll help you stay out of that emotional barrier, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what is it really about? It's about numbers. People are getting emotional because of other reasons. It's not really because they're getting 10K less than they thought they were going to get. This is never the reason why. So what's a question that we ask? Go ahead and type in the chat box. What's a question that we consistently ask during the process? What are we consistently doing during the process? Type it in the chat box. I'm circling it. It's like a big ass clue, right? Ask why. Ask why. Why are you emotional about this? Why are you stressing this out? Is it really about this? Or is it about this? Or is it about leaving the home that you've had for 20 years? What is it really, right? Now, motivation. Let's get into this real quick because I'm a big believer that you cannot, under any circumstances, do the greatest job in the world if you do not understand your buyer or your seller's motivation. If you do not understand your buyers or sellers' motivation, you cannot do the greatest sales position job ever. And so once you understand the motivation, look, let's give a perfect example. I'm sitting with John and Sue. John and Sue sit down with me. We discuss selling their house. And then I asked them, why? There it comes again. Why are you selling this house? It's beautiful. Why would you give this up? And let's say John and Sue say, my kids have moved to Atlanta and I want to be closer to my kids because I have grandkids now and I'm retired, so I don't need to be here. I'm an empty nester. We don't need this many bedrooms. So we need to move. Great. Kids, grandkids, no need for a big house. I'm putting all this information in my CRM, by the way. I'm putting all this information so that I can remember it because it will come up later. When does it come up? In this position. What do you do as a great salesperson, understanding the psychology behind the emotion that's happening during negotiations? Hey, John and Sue, let me ask you a question. Do we want to get you closer to your grandkids quicker or slower? Do we want to get you closer to your grandkids now or later? Do you want to give up the opportunity and allow the possibility of a market shift that won't give you the funds that you do need, which I am getting for you minus maybe a few bucks, and not be able to get to your grandkids. By the way, how old are your grandkids? 2 and 3? When do you want to live there? When they're 2 and 3, or when they turn 6 and 7? By the way, this ain't messing with them. They told you this. They told you this was exactly why they're selling the house. So understanding the psychology behind this, you utilize that in your sales tactic. And it's not that you're being grimy. It's not that you're being salesy. It's not any of this stuff. What are you doing? You're reminding them to step out of their emotional zone and come back to their motivation, to understand their why and understand that they can achieve their motivation. They can achieve their why if they reach negotiation tactics well. They can get to their grandkids. They can get rid of this really big house that they don't really want to take care of anyway, right? And they get squared away. Now let's go into perception. The perception is yours to present. The perception that you can do the job that they're hiring you to do is where you're going to win. So, is the perception that you're going to sell my house? Is the perception that you're going to help me find the perfect house? Is the perception that you are worthy of trust? Do I like you? Do I know you? Sorry for my handwriting. Right? This perception right here is for you to present. So how do you present the perfect perception? Because remember, a lot of these times, you don't know the person sitting across from you at the table. And even if you do, they don't know how you work. So you have to build this perception with them and show that you are capable of selling their house. And how do you do this? By knowing the market and the tactics. What do I mean by this? If I know my market extremely well, then I know that Jose down the street sold his house for $350,000, and I know that John sold this house down the street for $500,000, and I know the difference between the two houses, why the disparity of prices there. All this information is public information, by the way. So you don't actually need to know John and Jose, right? And you can explain to folks where your pricing comes from, why your pricing comes in that nature, and the tactics that you will use, the methods that you will use to sell their house or to help them find the house. And then we go into personality. Now, we've all heard about, I'm sure, the DISC profile. If you've never heard of the DISC profile, I would love for you guys to research the DISC profile. Because if you understand and know the DISC profile, just watch some YouTube videos on it. I have one on YouTube on the DISC profile, and we'll probably do some training on it in the upcoming weeks. But if you understand the DISC profile, each one of these, the driver, the steady, the consistent, the influencer, if you know these different profiles, it allows you to mirror the personality of your client. For instance, if I've got big, beautiful spreadsheets of all the sales that have happened in the market, that spreadsheet will absolutely work with these two right here. And it will absolutely be detrimental to those two right there. See, I'm a high D. If you're trying to present your business to me and you're doing it in the sense of showing me numbers, spreadsheets, and dialogues and things of that nature, You lose me in 30 seconds, I'm gone. You need to speak to me more direct, get to the point, show me the final numbers, and then explain to me how you got there by gaining my attention in the first 30 seconds. But these folks here, well, they're analytical. So they're going to want to see all those numbers, spend time with them, massage them, understand them, get to know them, right? And those personalities are very important for you to understand because it allows you the opportunity to utilize the proper method of presentation when working with them. This is going to help you get a better idea of how I'm going to work with a certain personality. Have you ever been to an appointment, buyer or seller, doesn't matter. Shoot, doctor, have you ever been to an appointment where the person across from you, you just could not connect with them? Right? Yes or no inside the chat box. You just couldn't connect with them. You couldn't figure out what it was that was the barrier between you guys, right? Many people have yeses. It's happened to all of us. It's happened to all of us at some point. You just don't connect with them. Do you believe that if you understood the disc profile and understood every profile of the human nature, the psychology behind the profiles, do you believe that you could have adjusted your personality to match theirs somehow in the situation? If you thought back to it, to the time that you were there in that chair, right? Enrico writes glazed eyes, right? People are just staring at you like, oh, okay, thank you, right? Like, and you're doing the song and dance. You're like, you're like you got your little monkey on the rope with the little cup doing the song and dance, right? And the folks across from you, they're just not really connecting with you. They don't get it. If you understood the disc profile, thinking back to this situation, and you could really dial in on the personality that they are by understanding how they're working, how they're speaking, how they're moving, do you believe, type yes or no in the chat box, that you could have connected with them had you been able to mirror them? 100%. 100%. And that's something that I really want you guys to understand because, listen, sales at the end of the day is about relationship and communication. And so if we can better understand how to communicate as a human with other humans, right, then we can better do our jobs, right? So Terry says, I don't think I could do it, understandably, right? I get that. So, but I would challenge you, Terry. I would do it with you. I would role play with you. I think we should set some time. I would role play with you and I can play the different profiles and we could try to see where you connect because I believe you can, right? This is not about changing who you are. Let me make that very clear. This is not about changing who you are. This is not about you being a different person. This is not about you faking some kind of weirdness to like be able to connect with somebody. This is about you being the best salesperson you could be. And it's about you being who you are, but allowing yourself to mirror the person across from you. And that's where where we bring in, like, think about body language, not body language. Hold on a second. Right? Body language. Have you guys heard this theory? If the person across from you is leaning back in their chair with their arms crossed listening to you, chances are they're a little more relaxed in the conversation. So where should you be? Should you be leaned back in your chair to match their body language? Or should you be face forward, arms on the table, really in their face? You should be the same as them. Your mirror body language, right? And this allows you to understand that person's personality. I'm intense, Terry, right? I'm an intense person. I love being intense. I get no problem with it. And, I'm the same way. I walk around and I tell folks, listen, this is who I am. If you don't love me, you don't love me. It's okay. For every person that loves me, there are two that don't. I get that. I understand that. But when I'm doing my job, when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, when I'm working on selling real estate, which is what I'm very, very good at, and the person across from me has a completely different personality with me, I have to tone my aggressiveness down some. If the person is aggressive with me, sometimes we butt heads, but I need to learn how to mirror that person's personality. They might be forward. They might be arms on the table. They might be moving sheets of paper with aggression and anger, right? And I'm going to match them. I'm going to match them, not to compete with them, but match them to be in the same sync of energy with them. And I'm going to say crazy things like, I love your energy. It's incredible, right? I love your energy. Dude, we can work all day long together. I love this. You want to sign this listing agreement real quick for me so we can get started? Right? Because somebody like that wants to get to the point. Now, it's very difficult for me to be chill, relaxed, right? I mean, it's hard. But when somebody's chill and relaxed, I got to take a step back. I got to tone it down because they might get anxiety with my aggression. They might get anxiety with my excitement, right? And it's not aggressive in a negative nature. It's just, man, I'm happy to be here. I'm in your house. We're talking about selling it. I'm excited. This is what I do. This is my jam. This is my gig, right? And I just want you to hire me so you see how great I am at doing this. And folks who are laid back, a little more relaxed, a little bit more conservative, that makes them nervous. It's too much for them. So tone it down, relax, take a step back. I don't have to change who I am. I just got to get that listing signed. Once I get that listing signed, baby, it's on. We're selling that house, right? So we think about body language. We think about matching body language. We think about the non-verbal clues that can influence a buyer's perception of a property. When you're walking around a property with somebody, you could see somebody's body language as they walk through the property. You don't have to say a word to you. They don't have to say anything to you if you just pay attention to the way that they are reacting, the faces that they're making, right? And if you can understand that as a salesperson, then you build the rapport and establish the trust with those clients. Because you will walk out of that house without saying one word to them. And you can understand their body language and you'll say, so I have a question for you. Is this house not the one? It's just the way you word things sometimes. And they're going to go, no, Martha, this isn't the one. This isn't the house for me. How'd you know? I could tell. I could tell just by the way you reacted to the house. Let's go out and move on to the next one. Oh my God, the rapport you build with somebody by not going, this house is really great. This house has views of the pool. This house is close to the beach. This house is so awesome. Did you see that kitchen's fantastic? You guys should really think about placing an offer on this house. Ugh. Right? Makes a big difference, you know? Now, when we talk about the psychology of sales, let's talk real quick about the psychology of pricing. I'm going to give you my tactic. I challenge you to try to use it. This works for both buyers and sellers. Guess who chooses the price at a listing appointment? Is it you, the agent, or is it the seller? Go ahead and type in the chat box. 100%. We're all on the same page. It is absolutely the seller. It is the seller who chooses the price. Now, how you influence them in choosing the price is what makes the big difference. So this is what I do. This is my tactic. Feel free to use it and then come back to me and let me know if it worked for you. I bring the comps. I print out sheets of the comps. I do not, under any circumstances, have them on my iPad and show it to them on my iPad. There's a reason for that. I'll have them on my iPad for me, but not for them. I print out the comps and I lay them down on the table side by side. And I don't go overboard with how many I bring. 3 to 5, no more than that. 3 to 5 is sufficient. When you read an appraisal, more than likely has 3 to 5, 6 comps on it. That's it. So bring 3 to 5 comps. And then I'm very smart about using a yellow highlighter and highlighting specific things on that sheet that I place in front of them. Number 1, bedroom, bathroom, square foot count. Number 2, how much it was listed for. Number 3, how much it sold for. Number 4, how many days it sat on the market. This allows me to have specific conversations like, you see how this one sat on the market for 72 days? And notice the disparity between the list price and the sale price. And then notice how this home sold for list price and was on the market for 10 days. What am I telling the seller? If you priced it improperly, you're going to sit on the market. And you're going to end up at the price that it should have sold for anyway, had you sold it in 10 days. I'm letting them know that that is one major piece. But the other major piece is I am showing them what the average price is for the homes in the market that they are selling their home in. And once I name them and I go, this one sold for $720, this one sold for $715, this one sold for $720, this one sold for $725. If I give them those numbers and I go, by the way, all of these homes are very similar to your model home. They have very similar square footage. This one that sold for $715 had a little less upgrades. This one that sold for $725 had a beautiful pool. You have a beautiful pool and you've upgraded your kitchen and bathrooms and floors. What do you think the price of your house should be? I don't come to them and tell them this is what I think, because we just all agreed that the seller is going to choose the price anyway. So I asked them, based on the information that you have in front of you, what do you think the price of your home should be? Do you know how outlandish they would sound if they came and said $850? They know it. They're sitting right in front of the papers. 720, 725, 715, 725. Those are the comps. Do you believe that in their gut they can look up at you and go $850? No. They're going to look at it and go, well, it looks like my price needs to be around 725. And they might say something along the lines of, hey, Tim, do you think that we could list it at 735 and see what happens? I'm not really in a rush. I want to go get to my grandkids, but you're going to get a 6-month agreement with me anyway. So can we try it for 30 days and see what happens? I'll take that. I'll take 10K over appraised value and see what happens for 30 days. Why wouldn't you do that? All right. Now, Andrea just asked, how do you handle it if the seller wants to price it for more than the average comps by a lot? It's a great question. I come right back to the comps. And I ask them, if they go, well, I want to list for 800 because I have purple towels in my bathroom and they're beautiful and I brought them from Italy, right? And so I'll go back to them and I'll say, I understand that. And I completely understand where you're coming from. However, looking at the numbers in front of you, do you think that you would get that number for your house? You bring it right back to the numbers. Remember what we said earlier, numbers, facts, that's your job. Numbers and facts. That's your job. Bring it right back to the numbers, right? Miriam says, when you ask them, what do you think you should list your price for? And they reply by, you are the expert. You tell them the price you should list it for. Absolutely. So if they look at me and they go, okay, Dave, I'm looking at the numbers and I see what you're showing me. Where do you think we should be? Then I'm going to guide them. I'm going to say, well, based on the numbers you have in front of you, 715, 720, 725, 725, considering that you've upgraded your kitchen, upgraded your bathrooms, did your floors, you have a pool, it's very similar to the higher priced homes. I think if we list at 725, we get your house sold in great time. And I get you to your grandkids faster than you ever believed. I believe if we list it any higher than that, we will sit on the market for a little bit longer because there is competition in the market and the competition is listed properly. You just explain it to them, right? Terry says managing expectations 100%. You're letting them know exactly what's going to happen. If I list it higher, it's going to sit on the market. You won't see your grandkids for a little bit longer. If we list it properly, I'm going to get this house sold. And I'm going to do a great job at it. Managing expectations goes even further because some folks really have it in their heads that they expect a contract in a minute, right? Like, hey, you listed it. Okay, where's the contracts, right? And so it's our job to set expectations very early on. And one of the things that I do is I say, hear me out real quick. We are going to list this house on this day. In the meantime, prior to that, and usually I list about a week from getting the document signed because I give myself time to get photos, video, websites, and that stuff created. And I'm letting them know why we're doing that, why we're not listing it tomorrow. We're scheduling photos, we're scheduling video. We got to get video edited. We got to put it in the right places. We got to get the website up and running. We got to make this look beautiful for you, right? We've got to get the marketing tactics in place. And then I say, once we go live, for me to market the way that I market, it takes about 2 weeks of syndication across the country through the ads and everything that I'm doing. So don't get desperate on me. Allow me to do what I do best, and I'll get you the numbers that I promised you, right? What do you say if they tell you that they put 35K into the kitchen, they want to go 35K over the comps? Well, that's very much dependent on what the comparatives look like. What do the comparables look like? If one of those comparables has an upgraded kitchen that's very similar to this one, you bring it back to the numbers and the facts. Now, if all the comps have original kitchens and your listing has a brand new kitchen and brand new bathrooms, you can list it higher. You guys know that. You can list it higher. And it'll probably bring a lot of attention because they're going to look at the other houses that have the 1970s tan cabinets. And they're going to come to your house and they're going to see these beautiful white cabinets with black countertops and gold backsplashes and touch faucets and, you know, deep sinks, farmer sink, and all this great stuff. And they're going to fall in love because we all know that the major pieces to the house that most people fall in love with, family area, kitchen, because kitchen is even considered family area in today, and yard space, depending on what they feel about it too, because some people want big yards, people want small yard. Either way, they fall in love with the space that they can use to sit out back and enjoy themselves, right? All right, now that we've talked about that, let me give you my tactic with buyers. Again, use it if you want. If it works, let me know what your thoughts are, okay? When we work with buyers, we do not show more than 4 properties in one day. I know some of you guys are thinking, oh my gosh, Whitney, will we get a copy of the recording? All of these are 100% live on my YouTube. So by tomorrow, it'll be up and running, okay? And we do send it in the email too. So if you are receiving the emails that say, that remind you about this presentation, you're going to get the email with the video as well, okay? One of my tactics with buyers, all right, no more than 4 houses. No more than 4 showings. Fantastic 4. Why do you think that we don't show more than 4 homes? Why do you think? Give me your ideas. What are your thought processes? Because I know some of y'all take your clients out there all dang day showing 10 homes, 15 homes. Can't make a decision. That's correct. Time is money, somewhat. Overwhelmed, yes. Attention span, yes. It gets confusing, yes. They forget, yes. It overwhelms them. Yes. By the time you get to house number 6, they have no idea what house number 1 looked like. Houses are starting to merge in together already. And let's face it, if they're in a specific price point, a lot of these houses really look the same. I don't know where most of y'all live. I live in Miami. We got a lot of cookie cutter houses. If you're looking in the $500,000 to $600,000 range, they all start to look the same in the same neighborhoods, right? So then it becomes, which one had the blue kitchen? Which one had the tan kitchen? Which one was the one with the pink bathroom that they didn't upgrade, right? Because we get a lot of that here in Florida, right? And so if they're not going to remember, we're going to focus on these 4 homes. Now, how do I use the psychology of sales to get them to pull the trigger and a decision on one of those 4 homes? We call it the takeaway. And I do this right outside of the 4th home on the hood of my truck. And what do I do with the takeaway? I take the 4 pieces of paper out with the 4 listings that we showed. I've made notes on them and I lay them out on the hood of my truck. And I ask them, which of these homes is absolutely not a contender? And when they tell me, you know what, the second one that we saw, absolutely not a contender. I hated the backyard. It needs too much work. There's a lot of updating necessary. That's not something we want to be in. I go, great. I take it, the paper, I crumble the paper up and I throw it up by my window of the car, the windshield. So typically it lands right where the wipers are and it drops right there. What did I just do to them? Is that home available to them anymore? According to their sentiment, their psychology, I just crumbled it up and threw it away as if I picked up the house and threw it into space. I took it away from them, right? Now they got 3 left. I asked them, out of the 3, based on these 3 homes that are left, which one are you least interested in? Now, notice there was a difference between absolutely not a contender and least interested in. Eventually, they tell me which one. I crumble that piece of paper up and I get rid of it too. Now we got 2 left. And I say, out of these 2, which one is your top A contender and which one is your top B contender in case A is not available? And they tell me this house, 123 Main is my A contender and 456 Johnson is my B contender. And I go, man, that's fantastic. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to head back to my office. I'm going to check the comps on 123 Main Street. I'm going to give you an opinion on value and what I think a great offer on this house would be. And we'll write up the contract tonight. Did I ask them if they want to write up a contract? Did I ask them if I thought, well, you know, if A's you don't want to let it go. You don't want to allow the opportunity for losing out on this one. So I think that we should really write. No, man, talk less. 90% listen, 10% talk. Talk less. I'm going to head to the house. Hear me out. I'm going to head to the house or the office. I'm going to run comparables on this property. I'm going to check to see what would be the proper offer that we could make on this home. I'm going to let you know what it is so we can write that contract tonight and get it signed and over. 90% of the time, the buyer's going to look at you and go, man, that's a great idea. Thank you so much, Kat. %90 of the time. Now, will you get sometimes they'll call you, you're on your way to the house, you're like, I did it. Yeah. And then they call you and they go, you know, we were thinking about it. I don't know. I feel like we need to see 4 more houses, Dave. You know, I'm not feeling it. Something's off. My gut says 123 Main Street's not it. Then I go, what about 456 Johnson? Are you willing to give 2 of them up to go see something else? Now, the reason that I really do this is because as we said, in most price points, these homes begin to look the same after a while. And more than that, excuse me, more than that, what happens is they really liked their A contender, 123 Main Street. And when you go see 4 more houses or 5 more houses or 8 more houses, what you do is they will forever compare every next house to 123 Main Street. And if on the second time you go show them the 4 more houses, they say, you know what, we saw these 4, thank you very much, but let's go back to 123 Main Street, and it's no longer available because somebody put it under contract already. They will compare every future house to that house, and you will have the hardest time getting them out of their own way. It's just the psychology behind it. Fun times, right? Real estate agents, fun times, right? It's just the thought process that goes behind it. And so I help them make the best decision. That's my job. That's why they hired me. I am their sales consultant. Consult. Right? Now, we don't have much time left, so I do want to touch on something because we discussed relationships quite a bit, right? And so with relationships, I want to build out, just going to take 10 minutes of your time. It's 11:47. We take 10 minutes of your time, and I want to harp down a little bit. And I know we've done it over the last few weeks, and I promise you, you're going to get annoyed with me because I'm going to keep talking about relationships for the rest of this year. And I just hope that every time I bring it up, it sparks something in your soul that makes you want to have better relationships with the people around you. Okay. Look, one thing is have massive and abundant, massive and abundant communication with people. We're slipping here. All right. As human beings, not even forget about real estate agents. Real estate agents, we're slipping hardcore. But as human beings, we're slipping on communication because we depend on social media. We depend on text messages. We depend on emails. But we forget real communication is voice to voice. Pick up the damn phone. Go meet somebody for coffee. Create abundant communication into developing that relationship, which will help you do number 2, which is build trust. People do not trust you when they first meet you. You inherit that trust by helping prove that you're a trustworthy person. But people by nature will not just blindly trust you for the rest of their lives. Just because they trust you now doesn't mean they'll trust you forever. So it is inherently your job to maintain that trust and ability with them. Right? And so building trust is a key thing in real estate. You have to be honest, always be honest. You have to be transparent. You have to be super reliable in your dealings with your clients. You have to always act in their best interest. And this is going to help you build a very strong and long-lasting relationship with that client or that person that will become a client because you're doing such a great job at connecting with them. Let's go right into number 3, which is proving value. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but what is your value proposition? Right? Do you know what your value proposition is? We call them UVPs. Your unique value proposition, right? What is that for you? What makes you stand out? What makes you different, right? What makes you different? What makes you louder? What makes you stand out? What makes you, if you and I go up against each other for a listing, what makes you stand out in that presentation? What makes you better? Is it that now, personally, I believe that there's only one thing that helps people truly stand out when it comes to dominating a market area and taking listings, and that's knowledge. The more knowledge you have of the market area, and the more you know about that market area, the more names you know, the more colors of houses you know, the more driveway repairs you know, the more people you know, the more people say hello to you on the street, the more employees you know. If you know the gardeners that clean up the common areas and the people at the clubhouse and the employees and the managers and everybody, the more you know, the better advantage you will always have a listing appointment. If I walk up to that listing appointment and they say, hey, the house out down the street, it sold for like 350, and I pull it up in my paper and I go, yes, the house down the street sold, but it sold for 355. And here's the documentation on it. Do I sound trustworthy and like I know what I'm doing? Sort of. But let's say, picking names here, let's say Alyssa jumps into that same appointment right after me, and they ask her the same thing. The house down the street sold for 350, right? And Alyssa go, oh, John and Jane's house? No, they sold for 355, and they sold it to, you know, Jose and Susie. Have you met Jose and Susie yet? I'd love to introduce you, right? Who? Agent A or Agent B? Me or Agent B? Me or Alyssa? Who gets that listing? Me or Alyssa? Type it in the chat box. Who gets that listing? Right off the bat. Who more? B. Alyssa gets that listing. 100% she gets that listing. There's no way that I could compete with my research and paperwork and her knowing who lived in that house. Now, here's the crazy part. Does Alyssa actually need to know Jose and Susie? Did she even have to be involved in the transaction? No. All she had to do was go to public records and see what houses were sold immediately next to them and who owned those houses and who they sold to. That's all she really needed to do. But because she made the comparables personal, she came across differently. She came across like she knew more, and she showed her value. Okay. You think that person's gonna have a better relationship with Alyssa? Absolutely. Right. Next is networking. Now, I'm a big believer in networking. I love networking. I believe that you should be networking with realtors, with lenders, title reps, restaurant owners, locals, businesses, homeowners. There's an app called Meetup. There's always events happening inside Meetup. Show up to them. If there's a real estate event happening, go to that real estate happy hour, right? Politicians, sure. If that's your gig, know your politicians. If you listen, there's no better person than the one that knows the mayor of the town, right? Okay. So understanding that you have to be networking all the way across, there are different ways to do this. Meetup gives you opportunities to go meet with people. There's Eventbrite, right? Eventbrite shows the public events. Show up to Eventbrite public events. Most real estate events are public. Why do I want to network with realtors? They're never going to be my clients. I remember seeing a very high level top person in the real estate industry get on a stage in front of 10,000 people and say, you are wasting your time networking with other realtors. And I thought to myself, you have not sold a house in forever. You have no idea what it's like to submit a contract to someone who remembers meeting you at a networking event and having a great conversation with you. It's relationships, folks. This is what we're talking about here. It's relationships. It's all about who you know. This is not the first time we hear this, right? It's not the first time we hear this, okay? So following up, look, this right here is probably the number one place that real estate agents suffer the most. The reason is some real estate agents are not even great at creating initial conversations. And some real estate agents are absolutely great at creating initial conversations. Most real estate agents suck at following up with that person to see how they're doing. I have a great conversation with somebody at a restaurant during a happy hour that was designed for, I don't know, doctors, foot doctors. It's the foot doctor convention, right? And I'm hanging out at the foot doctor convention. Somebody says, "Oh, you're a doctor?" I say, "No, I'm a real estate agent." And they go, "Oh, okay. What are you doing here?" I like to network in different realms and meet new people. Everyone here lives in a house. I happen to sell those. Right. And then we have this great conversation, laughs at my silly dad joke. Right. And we have a great conversation. I get his business card. I pass him mine. And then I never call him again. Never check up on him again. Didn't even add him into my CRM. Right. The business card is still in my suit jacket that's hung up for the next 6 months because I'm not wearing that suit jacket again for a little bit. Right. It just, it baffles me how this is where we mess up the most. And this is where we need to be strongest the most. This is where we need to be very strong, because that person that met you, that had a great conversation with you, they're not giving you their listing or their business at the bar on the spot. They're not over a cheeseburger and a beer. They're going to give you their listing or their business when you're able to connect with them at a higher level, and you keep following up with them, and you keep following up with them. And it's not like, "Hey, Kat, this is David. Remember me? Are you thinking about buying or selling?" No. This is, "Hey, Kat, this is David, the realtor you met at the foot doctor convention at the bar. Yeah, man, how's everything going? Just want to check up on you, see how things are going. Listen, I'm having like a client, happy hour that I do once a quarter. Super excited. If you want to come out, just have another beer. It'd be great to have you." Didn't have to mention anything except for the fact that I was the realtor they met at the bar that day. Maybe he comes to my event. That's another piece that I want to discuss with you, is events for all your past clients. You got to be doing events for your past clients. You got to be bringing them together. You got to be making them feel great. Right now, I'm going to give you guys one final tip, and then I'm going to let you guys go. Closing gifts. I'm going to give you the most amazing premium gift that will bring you more business. And no, it's not a Cutco knife or a cutting board. Right? This is what you're going to do. I want you to try this on your next listing. It's got to make financial sense for you. But personally, I believe if you close a $500,000 house and you make 15K, well, you should be able to take $800 to $1,000 and spend it back on yourself. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to call this client. I'm going to use Martha because she's right in front of me. I'm going to say, "Martha, David Kurz, it's been 15 days since we closed in the house. How's everything going?" "You know what, Dave? Everything's great. Everything's fantastic. We found some things we had to fix, but we took care of it. Martha, do you need anybody? Do you need a plumber? Do you need, I've got great connections with people in this industry. I've been doing this a while. Happy to help you out. Happy to drop any names that you can interview." No, I think we're good. All right, fantastic. Martha, listen, I want you to do something. I want you to pick a day, Friday, and I am going to hire a professional chef to come out to the house, and they're going to cook dinner for you and your closest 5 friends. And that's going to be my housewarming gift to you. I want you to show off your house when it's ready to 5 of your favorite friends and their spouses or their significant others. And I'm going to come with this professional chef, and they're going to make the most amazing meal. And we're going to have a small, quaint little housewarming party on me. Client, super happy. But guess what? Their 5 friends, baffled. They've never seen this before. Never seen this before. So they come to me, they go, "David, you're the realtor that helped Martha buy the house?" "Yes, I am." "Man, it's such a beautiful house." "It really is. This chef thing is amazing." "Oh yeah, we do this for all our clients. We want to make sure that our clients have a real pleasurable experience." Most of our clients, they hold the housewarming party and they're the ones cooking. They're the ones washing dishes. They're the ones going crazy, and they don't really enjoy being able to show off their house. So we try to create that enjoyment for them. We bring the chef, we bring the cleaning person in the background. We're going to have a great meal tonight. And, hopefully you guys really enjoy it. By the way, let me give you my number. What's your number? I'll text it to you. I'm getting everybody's number there that day. Do you think that at least one of those people, yes or no in the chat box, do you think that at least one of those people might use me or refer me in the future? Use me or refer me? Yes or no? Definitely. 100%. I just gave you my tactic, my trick, my everything. I want you guys to use it. And I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it. I want you guys to call me, text me, tell me something. Just let me know. Let me know if it worked out for you. I want to know. I want to know what happened. And when you do this, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. It puts you in a whole different light, puts you in a completely different position, and you become somebody not only that was the subject matter expert that helped somebody get to the closing table, you also become the person who gave a crap. You cared. You cared enough to care for the client. You cared enough to care for their friends. You cared enough to earn the respect and trust of those referrals. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed today, and use them. Guys, use the buyer tactic, use the seller tactic, use the chef. This is not that hard. By the way, Miriam, you said, I love the idea. Now I got to find a chef. Believe it or not, it is not that hard to find a chef that will do this. There are personal professional chefs everywhere. Go to Upwork, go to all these different hiring websites, and go to Facebook and go, does anybody know a professional chef in this area? And I guarantee you they're going to send you a name. Right? Absolutely. I attend the housewarming. I'm paying for it. I will be there and I am meeting their friends and we're going to sit and break bread together. No better way to build a relationship than over bread and wine. Trust me. All right, guys, have a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic rest of the week. I'll see you guys next week. We're going to dig into some extra stuff. This will be a really great opportunity for you guys to grow. I hope that you implement some of these tactics into your business, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Same time, same bat channel, same bat time. All right. See you guys soon.